Hello, this is Tim Law with Playing It Forward Coaching. A big thank you for over 300 people that have subscribed to my channel, Playing It Forward Coaching. This is a continuation with Kim Mattice, a lady who's overcome cancer 2 different times. Her original one had to deal pre-COVID, and then she also experienced this during the COVID period and what she actually experienced in 2020. So Kim, welcome again. This topic is so very, very important for so many of our wonderful women, moms, aunts, daughters, etc., to please listen to your wonderful message. So please go ahead.
Hi, Tim. Thank you for having me on again. And just to let everybody know, I reached out to Tim again, said, we have to continue this. I have something else to say. So I just wanted to explain the importance of your support system. The support system I had pre-COVID was family, friends, husband. I'm not kidding you when I tell you, hundreds of people dropped off dinners to us. They sent gifts, they sent cards. They would stop by. They would just check on me. They would call me, Kim, what do you need? What are you eating these days? Can I drop off some grapes? I ate tons of grapes. It was amazing with the medical care I received. My doctors, the PAs, the nurses, all of them were very, you go every week, so you build this bond with them. So every week I would go, and they were very, they would hug you. They would give you that soft, touch on your shoulder. How are you feeling, Kim? They would examine you because they have to examine you every time you go in to make sure things are going well. And I actually looked forward to going to my visits, which sounds crazy. I looked forward to getting poisoned with chemo because these people made you feel so special. There's always that human touch, and I can't, and I'm a touchy-feely person. I always feel that light touch on somebody's shoulder, it makes you feel like you care about them. I'm thinking of you. So that was really, really important to me at that time, especially with all the physical changes you go through, the mental changes, the depression. So during my first bout, it was wonderful. It was smooth sailing. Everything was great. I actually have told people my cancer experience was wonderful. Now, that's a really weird thing to say, is like, my cancer experience was great, but it was because I had that love and support. Fast forward to COVID. So in January of 2020, when I was re-diagnosed, I did have to have surgery. I took my whole support system with me. My husband was there, my sister-in-law, my mom, everybody was at my appointment when I went in for surgery. So I got hugs before I went in. They prayed over me to make sure, the surgery went well. They all met my surgeon. It was wonderful. The nurses were great. Everything was great. Surgery was wonderful. Had to have radiation. Radiation started in February. That was one of the most scariest experiences also, because you don't know what's going to happen in that machine. Do you feel it? Do you, again, you don't know the unexpected. And I always used to say, I'm like, oh, great, they're going to cook me from the inside out. And of course, the doctors would yell at me and say, no, it's called sterilization. We're sterilizing you. Well, I said it's cooking because you're cooking me. But in the middle of radiation, COVID hit. So it started out, kind of gently with everyone wearing a mask. And it didn't really make me nervous. It was fine. And then, about a week later, when things started to really ramp up, they started asking you the questions. Do you have any fevers? Do you have a cough? Do you have this? Do you have that? And again, I was like, yeah, I was okay with it, but I was there every day. So every day it just got kind of like, okay, I'm done with this. Well, then by about the third week, no more visitors. Well, Tom was taking me to my appointments, and Tom has been my rock and my number one supporter. So thinking of going through this and the smooth sailing I had before, and then all of a sudden my world exploded. I'm like, what do you mean my husband can't come? They're like, no more visitors. I'm like, no, I don't understand what you're telling me. I can't bring my support system at a time like this. Nope, we've closed everything down. Can't take them to the hospital, can't do anything. So I've never felt so much sorrow. I was lost. My anxiety level went through the roof because, again, I had always had that support system there. And now he wasn't outside in the waiting room waiting for me when I would come out bouncing around and say, hey, how you feeling? Had to go to the doctor every week, see the doctor. He'd say to me, how are your appointments? He couldn't be there. And they couldn't do Zoom because they didn't have it then.
Mhm.
And they also had to examine me because of the radiation that, it does to your skin. So they always had to check you. So that was really hard. So after the irradiation, I got through that. And then I had to go on to chemo again. And they were pills, which I could do from home, which worked great with COVID. The plan did change a little bit. I was supposed to have, I had some testing done to see if I was a candidate for immunotherapy. And we were all set to do the immunotherapy, and COVID hit, and they said, nope, we're not going to do it. So even my cancer treatment changed because of COVID. They felt that the immunotherapy wasn't safe enough during COVID. So I was kind of like, again, I'm like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me like my cancer isn't more important than COVID? And I would look at the doctor and say, but my cancer didn't get the COVID memo. My cancer didn't stop. It didn't stop and stay home. It's still ravaging through my body, and I want to get through this. And she said, nope, we're going to do the pill. So I did it. I remember after my first week, I had some pretty major reactions to it. Had to go back to the doctor. I went every week, and I sat in her office, and I'm not kidding you. I tell you, I sobbed. Now, I'm not a crier. I'm not one that even cries at a movie.
Mhm.
I sobbed and I sobbed, and she looked at me and she said, I'm sorry, but I can't even hug you. Now, this is after she's already examined me. She's already given me a breast exam. She's already checked my
Mhm.
lymph nodes. She's already done all this. And she's telling me, I can't hug you. And I'm like, but that's what I needed. Like at that point, Tom couldn't be at the appointment with me. There was nobody there that just give you that hug to say everything's going to be okay. And she walked out of the room, and I sat there and I sobbed. I said, I can't do this. I can't go on without having my support system. Like, how do you expect me to do this? And I went home and I thought about it. And I said, this is sad, because it got worse, because I wasn't the only one. I mean, there were people passing away in the hospitals, and their loved ones weren't with them to hold their hand.
Mhm.
And I didn't have Tom there to hold my hand. I wasn't dying, but in my mind, I felt like I was, because I didn't know what my cancer was going to do. When your cancer comes back a second time, you're like, first thing you think is, I'm going to die. I already beat it once. How am I going to
Mhm.
beat it again? So that was probably the hardest thing, was the whole COVID, that I just had in my mind that I wasn't important anymore. It was
Mhm.
all about COVID. And I understand COVID is deadly, it's scary, it's same, but still, my cancer was still ravaging me, and I had to get something done. And I craved that touch and love and support from everyone that I couldn't get it in the hospital anymore. I couldn't get it in my doctor's appointments anymore. So that was really, really tough. Fast forward now, I've got to have one more surgery, and I'm thinking about putting it off, because if Tom can't go in with me or be there for me, I'm like, I honestly can't do it. I don't do well with anesthesia.
Mhm.
So then it makes me think, how many other people have been in this situation? And I've had girlfriends tell me, hey, Kim, I called to get my mammogram and they put it off. I'm like, what do you mean they put it off? Or they canceled mastectomies because they're elective surgeries. Well, I didn't look as my mastectomy as being elective, but that's what it's categorized as. So how many people have actually died of cancer? And so I did look it up. And in 2020, 1.8 million people were diagnosed with cancer, but 606,000 people died of cancer, not just
Wow.
breast
Wow.
cancer, but all cancers,
Sure.
which is more than COVID. And again, I'm not comparing the two, it's still different.
Mhm.
But that COVID perspective, just the way it's touched so many lives, and not in a good way. It's been hard. And so my oncologist always told me, Kim, you got to stay positive. No matter what, you stay positive, you have positive influences in your life, you'll get through this, but you just got to stay positive. And I kept saying, gosh, how do you do this with COVID and not having that
Mhm.
support system? And
Sure.
so, I guess I just want to tell people that I guess the thing is just keep moving on, keep going. I thank God every morning I still wake up, and I'm alive.
Mhm.
Enjoy every day because you don't know what tomorrow brings. Remember what keeps you going, it's your family, your friends, your support system. And if you don't know how to support somebody, now it's not as personal. It's texting or, people have asked me, can I hug you? I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. I'm not afraid of COVID. Please hug me. I need a hug because you do. I think we're losing that human connection.
Mhm.
And I think people now are afraid to have that human connection. Whether there's many reasons why people are afraid to have that human connection, but you need that love. You need the hug. You need to love somebody, love the neighbor, love your kids, love your husband, love your kid, your friends. I think that's just been the biggest. That was even harder. I say that was harder than climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. And
Sure, sure.
all women that have gone through this battle, let me tell you what, you've climbed a bigger mountain than Kilimanjaro. I
Mhm.
mean, you were all warriors and you just keep battling. And I think that's the hardest thing. And just remember, every day is a gift.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
So,
certainly agree with you, Kim. And what's interesting is, you talk about love. They say that the vibration of love within us is the highest vibration, that human beings can experience. So when you're saying as far as the hugs and the touch, etc., that kind of thing, and then people showing love, it certainly is something that is, it's really needed by everybody for
it
sure.
is.
And
Mhm.
definitely makes a lot of sense what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think with the world that's going on today, we still need to love each other,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
I always tell people the one thing about cancer is cancer isn't racist. I mean, cancer picks
Hmm.
anybody. It
Yep,
picks everybody and anybody,
for sure.
so you need to love everybody,
Hmm.
and that's the same thing. Just love everyone because everybody has been affected either cancer or COVID. It's affected
Hmm.
somebody, so and that's my journey. I really
Yeah.
hope people will understand that the support system is so, so important.
Well, and what you said, Kim, is so valuable because you actually gave a tremendous contrast between uh, pre-COVID, with that first cancer treatment, that tremendous support group you had,
Mhm.
and then what it was like going through COVID. So you really had, a major contrast on how good it could be as far
Mhm.
as the support system is concerned, even though the result, from your first time, it was unknown. You weren't sure which way it was going to go or whatever.
Right.
But that support system certainly helped you get through all that. That's for sure.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing is just support system and
Mhm.
people that going through COVID don't know about the support system because again, maybe they don't know any different because they have cancer during COVID.
Mhm.
You know, I
Sure.
I my heart goes out to them, because I know that the medical care, it's not the doctor's fault. It's what
Right.
they're taught. They're taught
Mhm.
you can't touch anybody. But I'm like, you just gave me a breast exam.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just touched me. What do you mean you can't give me a hug? I'm sobbing, and it's yeah, it's hard, but just
Sure.
stick with it and keep with it. And when you run out of the building and you can have your support system there, you go get your big hug and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been wonderful, Kim, and I really glad we kind of did the follow up here and everything. And you're uh, I'm very honored that you're probably actually the first person to be on here twice, and I'm very honored to have somebody who's sending such a very very important message to all the others out there, all the other ladies out there, as far as taking care of themselves and getting those exams, etc. And very very important message. So thank you so very very
And
much.
just a quick note, I did
Sure.
change a little bit of lifestyle. I tell people my biggest thing is deodorant. Make sure when you're looking at your label, it has no aluminum and
Mhm.
no, I think it's BPA's or whatever it's in there.
Okay.
Um, and then your lotions.
Hmm.
You want your lotions to be as organic as possible because if
Okay.
you go back to your biology class, skin is your biggest organ.
Hmm.
And so if you're putting all those toxins on your body, that's not something you really want to do. So I always tell people read labels. You
Yeah.
know, buying organic is expensive,
Hmm.
but your life is worth it. And if there's a
Absolutely.
couple things that you can change, it's the deodorant, toothpaste. That's another one I use. It's a Tom's toothpaste that's all organic. So yeah, you can definitely change a little bit of your lifestyle and still keep it within a budget.
Hmm. Good, great point. And thank you so much, Kim. Just hang on. We'll chat for a second after we're done
Okay,
here, okay?
thank you.